1994, the World Cup final. A moment that defined a generation. For Italy, it was never just about a team. It was about one man. Roberto Baggio. He was the creative heart, the soul, and the last hope. His ponytail was an icon, but his talent was legendary. Every match, millions watched his every move with bated breath. The expectation was crushing. The pressure was suffocating. But Baggio seemed to glide above it all with grace. He possessed a touch that felt almost divine. His teammates relied on him to pull magic from nothing. He was the light in the dark for an entire nation. They called him the Divine Ponytail. A name fitting his stature. But even heroes feel the weight of their own destiny. The tournament had been a long, brutal road to the final. Every game was a battle. Every win, a narrow escape. Baggio had carried them through the impossible. Scoring goals that defied logic and physics. He was exhausted. His body was screaming for rest. But he knew his people needed him more than ever. Italy was ready to crown their king. The road to the final was paved with moments of pure genius. Match after match, he was the difference maker. His legs were heavy, but his will was made of iron. Defenders focused only on stopping him at all costs. The world watched as he beat the best defenses on earth. The quarterfinals were a test of pure resolve. The semifinals saw him take control of his own fate. He was playing through pain that would have stopped others. The tape on his knee held his legacy together. He didn't just score. He orchestrated the beautiful game. Fans in the streets of Rome cheered every step he took. They saw in him the dream of a World Cup title. Every dribble was a statement. Every pass a prayer. He was the undisputed face of the global game. The media couldn't get enough of his quiet confidence. He was humble, almost shy, away from the spotlight. But on the pitch, he was a cold, calculated predator. Italy's journey wasn't pretty, but it was effective. Baggio ensured that each victory felt like a destiny. The stage was set for the ultimate showdown. The final beckoned. History was within reach. He stood on the threshold of immortal status. One last game remained to fulfill the promise. The energy in the stadium was beyond electric. The world was ready for the Baggio masterpiece. The final match proved to be a grueling chess match. Neither side would give an inch. Neither side would break. The clock ticked on, and the legs began to fail. Chance after chance went missing for both teams. Extra time arrived, but nothing could separate them. The game had to be decided by the ultimate test. The penalty shootout. The stage of nightmares. Baggio stood at the center circle, eyes closed in focus. His breathing was steady, his mind a quiet, focused room. He had played 120 minutes of high-intensity football. His body was failing, but his spirit was still there. The walk to the spot felt like walking a mile. The eyes of the world burned into his back. He placed the ball down. The silence was absolute. He adjusted his ponytail, took a deep breath, and ran. The strike was clean, but the trajectory was cruel. The ball rose, sailing just a fraction too high. It flew over the crossbar. It flew over the dream. The image is burned into the history of football forever. He stood still. The realization hit like a physical blow. The silence in the stadium was louder than any roar. The joy of the other side was a sharp, biting contrast. He had carried them so far, only to fall at the end. It was the saddest kick in the history of the sport. A moment of singular heartbreak for a nation of millions. He didn't move for several long, agonizing seconds. The reality of what happened took time to sink in. His teammates could not find the words to console him. He was a statue in the center of the pitch. A hero whose quest had ended in such a cruel way. The cameras zoomed in, capturing a face of pure devastation. Italy was in shock. The country fell into a deep silence. How could the one who carried them fail in the end? The cruelty of football is that it only remembers the outcome. It forgets the journey. It forgets the sacrifice. He walked off the pitch with the weight of the world. Not the glory he expected, but a burden that would linger. In the dressing room, the sorrow was a heavy blanket. He was alone in his thoughts, despite being surrounded. The world's press would be unkind. They always are. They wouldn't talk about the goals that got him there. They would talk about the one that got away. He was a human being, facing a very public failure. The divine ponytail had been brought back to earth. The feeling of helplessness was overwhelming for everyone. It was a tragedy written in a single, soaring motion. The dream was over. The nightmare had just begun. It was the silence that hurt the most. The quiet echo of a penalty miss. He had given everything, and it still wasn't enough. Years later, we see the story for what it really was. It wasn't a failure of talent, but a quirk of fate. Baggio was not defined by that single, tragic moment. He was defined by the courage it took to be there. He was the one who dared to take the responsibility. He was the one who carried the hopes of a nation. Many would have folded under the pressure long before. But he stood tall, time and time again. To be a hero is to accept the risk of the fall. Baggio never hid from the challenge of greatness. The memory of that day still stings, even decades later. But it serves as a reminder of the fragility of success. The fine line between a legend and a tragedy. He lived with the weight, and he lived with dignity. He showed us that perfection is not human. It is the flaws that make the heroes feel real. We don't remember him for missing. We remember him for playing. We remember the magic that came before the heartbreak. The penalty is just one footnote in a giant career. A career that inspired countless players to pick up a ball. He proved that you can fall and still be a giant. The lessons of 1994 remain etched in the game. The true cost of carrying a nation is a heavy toll. It is a story of love, pain, and the beautiful game. The cost of greatness is often paid in heartbreak. Today, Roberto Baggio is remembered as one of the greats. The heartbreak of 1994 has faded into a noble story. He is the hero who carried his people to the edge. He taught us that legends are made of resilience. His journey is a testament to the power of the game. What do you think was the true cost of his greatness? Let us know in the comments.